Welcome to your preview show. It's 2019 Lucas Oil Pro Motocross here at Racer X. Jason Weigandt, Steve Matthes. Jason Thomas. We're going to break this down. We are in Las Vegas at the palatial, the glorious PulpMX.com studios. Not because we want to hang out here, but because we just wrapped up Monster Energy Supercross in Vegas, and there's like all this residual emotion. We might as well just stay in town and bask in the glory.
I mean, why not? First of all, though, doing this shoot the Sunday morning after the Vegas finale seemed good on paper. Not good in reality, though.
No, you feeling good, JT?
You guys having a tough time? I was fine.
Yeah.
I feel good.
Because I think you haven't gone to sleep yet. That might be the
No,
key.
I'm good. I'm an adult. I'm an adult.
Okay.
I prepared for this.
I want to thank Matthes for title sponsoring these shows, mostly because I got this mug that I can fill with coffee, because good Lord, do we need it? Emotions high and low in Supercross, and that's all going to bleed into Lucas Oil Pro Motocross this year. You probably know the tracks and the rounds, the schedule in general. It's iconic venues. You can go to promotocross.com and get information to get tickets, to schedule all that. If you want to watch the shows, the NBC networks, NBC, NBCSN, Mav TV will have first motos, or just get the gold package with NBC Sports, and you can watch all the motos commercial-free. GL and I announced personally for you during the commercials that you won't see on TV. So sign up for the package now. Little history.
I like the gold app, but I don't like the announcers, just for the record.
Okay, well, with the TVs come with a mute button. Sorry about that. I think they're great. Sponsors are great, too. I mentioned Matthes, our title sponsors of these shows. 60 coming on board as our official helmet. We got X-Brand goggles. Any thoughts, Steve?
X-Brand goggles is a choice of champions everywhere.
Okay.
If you don't wear X-Brand, you won't win.
Fly Racing, JT, any thoughts?
Very excited to be on again as the official gear of Lucas Oil Pro Motocross. That's exciting.
And Pro Taper handlebars, doing great things for the sport all the time, and thanks to them for backing these shows. What we might see this year, a little bit of history. This is hard to believe. The unpredictable, enigmatic, high and low Eli Tomac is trying to become one of the most solid riders ever. Monster Energy Kawasaki man going for 3 straight titles, which we're used to dominance in this sport. That doesn't seem that crazy. It's only been done twice. The first ever champion in this series, Gary Jones. He won 3 in a row, but that's a totally different era. Ricky Carmichael won like 19 in a row, I think, something like that.
Yeah, a lot.
Beyond that, no other three-peats ever. In fact, even back-to-backs are pretty rare. You got to go all the way back to Emig in the mid-90s besides Carmichael to even go back-to-back. Not Stu, not Roczen, not Dunge, not Villapoto. Eli. Hard to predict, but lo and behold, he's the steady guy looking for 3 in a row.
Yeah, and look, he's coming off another Supercross season that didn't go the way he or the team wanted. I don't know what it is about outdoors. There's more room, I guess, on the track. Maybe bike setup isn't as important. You can muscle through something if it's not working good. We know Eli had some setup issues with his 19 Cowie in Supercross, or at least we think.
He's not talking much. No.
He's not talking
Never.
much. But whatever it is for outdoors, definitely Eli does shine a little bit. JT, I feel like, so his Supercross has very high highs, obviously, but then some very lows for Eli over the years. In motocross, his lows aren't as devastating, as they are in Supercross.
Yeah, and we discussed this probably, but there's a bigger sample size to it as well. You've got 24 individual races that all pay points to sort this thing out versus 17 rounds of Supercross.
And they're longer races.
Absolutely. That was my next point, is that you've got 35 minutes. If you do make that critical mistake, you get the bad start we've seen him have, you tip over, you do something silly, he has so much more time, almost double the amount of time to correct that mistake. So I think it plays into his hands a little bit more, and the results are there. He's won 2 titles and lost now 3 in disappointing fashion in a row.
I think he's a favorite. I don't think he's a heavy favorite. I don't think he's a clear favorite, but I think Eli Tomac and the Monster Energy crew are the favorites to get that 3rd title this summer. And, I mean, why wouldn't he be, right?
Well, there's a couple things to think about here with Eli. Just the general, you never know exactly what you're going to get. Although you're right, certainly last year, it was pretty solid across the board. 17 was kind of a wild one outdoors, but last year he was pretty solid. That 19 Cowie, it was on and off in Supercross. It is a new bike outdoors. We know the crew chief, Mike Williamson, is no longer there. I talked to Bruce Sternstrom, the head of racing. They do want to fill that position, so there's kind of a void right now. And setup, Steve, you like talking about that, seems very critical to Eli.
Right.
The other factor, I think the competition is just tougher this year.
Can I recommend, though, the last time we saw the 19 Cowie KX450 outdoors was the Desnations, so let's just throw that setup out the window.
Yeah, but you have to look at that particular race and those conditions and that track is not very indicative of what he's going to face all summer. I think we can all agree that was a very unique situation, a very unique race, very unique weather.
Don't use any of that.
Okay, fair enough. I'll let you deal with Eli and John and Kathy on that subject.
Okay.
I'm surprised that JT didn't just recommend blocking out that race completely from the
Right,
record, as if it never happened. So yeah, Eli's going for 3 in a row, and you'd have to agree he's the favorite. But I think even if his house is in order, the bike, everything's good, I believe it's inarguable that the field is tougher this year because the same riders that challenged him the last couple of years are still there. Other riders are coming in healthier and stronger. You got to figure Ken Roczen will be better this year than last year. We have these rookies coming in. Cooper Webb, a phenomenal career revamp in Supercross. So I just think it's tougher. I guess the first guy we could start with is Marvin, who's been the bridesmaid. Is the window starting to get a little bit tight, though, for Marvin to make this happen? He's getting close every year and not getting that number 1.
I think so. I agree. Yeah, Marvin's certainly been. He didn't finish second in the series this year, but in the Supercross, but he got third. I think that makes 6 top 3s in Marv for the last 6 series in 450 class. So certainly he's going to be there. He's going to win races. He's going to be good. But yeah, he's getting older. Marv is surprisingly older, and the competition, and we'll get to the competition, is going to be a little bit better. So I think Marv will have more of the same to me.
Well, it's funny. I think the conversation is shifting from when to if.
Yeah.
And we haven't really heard that much with Marvin. It's like, yeah, he's going to win. He's winning so many races. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Now you've got a teammate that's just come off a Supercross championship that's added to the fray. We know how good Eli is going to be. We have some questions with Ken Roczen that we'll get into, but this is the first time late in this season that I've heard maybe it's just not going to happen for Marvin, and that's a new complication here.
Yeah, he's been so good. He's won 7 races the last 2 years, which is pretty good when you consider there's only 12 rounds a year. But every discussion with Marvin, and we stumbled right into it, always goes now to Cooper Webb, his Red Bull KTM teammate. Webb has been so good. Now, by the way, I know there's a quote that everyone's probably hashing out right now that Cooper Webb said, "I could give a shit about outdoors right now. I want to celebrate this title." That doesn't mean that Cooper Webb doesn't care about it. It just means I won the Supercross title. Let me party. He will be ready to a degree.
Yeah, to a
and he's
degree.
proven to be good outdoors. I don't think he's going to just not care. But it is tough, I think. We talked to Chad Reed, actually, about it while we were watching Cooper clinch the title last night. Getting back up for outdoors after this high of Supercross is not necessarily easy.
Yeah, I agree, and I think as we get more and more specialized as a sport going forward between Supercross and Motocross, and I think maybe Supercross gains some importance here and there, you're going to start looking back at guys like MC or Ricky or whoever that did both win both series, the double.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, honestly, last year, Jason Anderson somewhat surprising, 2018 Supercross series. Whatever he did in outdoors was a bonus. It really was. Now, he exited out early. Up until then, he hadn't won a moto, and he'd been good, but a few off the podium, more off the podium than on.
Yes.
And I feel that way for Cooper Webb. He's playing with house money right now. Yes, he's a former national champion, but right now it is house money. I look for Coop to go out there, put on the podium a whole bunch, have some good races, but I like Marvin a little better. I like Eli a little better.
Whoa.
I do. Just because, hey, things have been rolling so good for Cooper Webb that, yep, he's going to take it seriously. He's going to work hard, but I don't know if if you want to be all in like Tomac or Marvin, who desperately want a champion.
Well, JT, you've gone through this grind before. Is it one of those things where you can go through exactly what the trainer and the schedule tells you to do, but only you know in your heart and mind if you're really into it, even if you're doing what the paperwork says is all the work?
I'm kind of on the opposite side of Steve. I think if he comes into Hangtown and puts a good result on the board at Hangtown, because we know how great Eli's been at Hangtown, and Marvin's been right there. He hasn't been able to beat Eli, but he's been right there.
Yeah.
If he can go out and put his best foot forward and show those guys he's for real outdoors, I think these guys are in for a real fight this summer, because I think he's much more confident outdoors than he is in Supercross. And I think he almost surprised himself in Supercross this year at times. Yeah. Outdoors, I think, comes naturally to him. I think he's confident, and how could you have more confidence than you do right now?
That is true. You have to remember, he generated this Supercross title starting from the bottom, wondering if he'd ever get to these heights, wondering if he could beat guys like Tomac. Now he feels like he's just done it. So that is going to be a really interesting thing to watch through the year. Is the Supercross thing going to make him better, or is it going to make him worse? And then you've got that teammate thing hanging in the balance as well. Look, Marv's the nicest guy ever. He has not said a single cross word about having to deal with Webb taking the title that he wanted so bad. But sure, you guys want to speculate on that? They're going to be arguing at the baker's factory. You do it every time.
Yeah, why not? Yeah,
okay.
Let's keep it going.
There's going to be a lot of friction. It's going to happen.
I mean, look, Cooper will be there. He'll be good. There's no doubt about that.
Yep.
But I think if you want to look at motivation, I think if you want to look at past results in the 450 outdoors, Eli and Marv have proven to be a bit better. And so I guess I'm at the point where I'm saying, show me again, Coop. But having said that, I think he wins a race and wins motos and gets on the podium. Don't get me wrong. He's going to be really good.
Cool. Okay, talking about the increased competition this year, Ken Roczen was there last year, but it's not the same Ken Roczen. I mean, he barely made it to Hangtown. I don't even know if he's really ready to ride. He was just riding, not racing. We know there are some health issues for Kenny, but still he's in a whole lot better position than he was a year ago.
Yeah, he is in a better position, but honestly, what we saw the last few Supercrosses, I mean, there's a couple of highlights here and there, but man, outdoors, it's hotter, it's harder, there's two of them. He's been pretty open and honest about social media about trying to find out what his illness is and what's going on with him. Until he gets that fixed, for me, JT, he's not going to do it. You can't go out there and get 5th and 6th and get tired. If this is what happens and if his Supercross trend continues, he can't do it.
Well, I think the big thing is there are just more questions than answers at this point. And that's probably internal with his own team as well. Until we show up at Hangtown and these first couple races go, I don't think we can really pinpoint how it's going to go.
But how is it going to get better?
Well,
unless they figure something out.
Yeah, you never know if he gets a good start and things can happen. If he's getting tests done and they're not finding anything wrong, it's a guessing game. So maybe he feels great at Hangtown. Maybe we know he's been riding a lot outdoors. They've been testing a ton, apparently. So maybe things just start clicking once he goes outside. Let's not forget, just a few short years ago, he won 19 out of 24 motos or something crazy.
He's unbelievable when he's on, yes.
Right, so it's not out of the realm of possibility, but yes, I still agree there are way more questions than answers at this point.
A healthy Ken Roczen, 100% Ken Roczen, is challenging Eli for wins and beating Marvin Musquin and Cooper Webb and Anderson, in my opinion. But right now, the way he is right now, I mean, he's a fourth or fifth place guy right now. So I'm with JT. I'm 100%. I don't know.
I talked to Kenny actually right before the Vegas Supercross, and he said he doesn't even know, which is a very scary thought. So that's where we're coming from.
He's always said he likes outdoors better than Supercross. He feels he's better at outdoors than Supercross, and it showed.
Well, I think people forget he's been so naturally good at Supercross that he is still from Germany. Most of the riders that come from the GPs learn Supercross on the fly. He's so good at Supercross, we forget, I think, that outdoors is easier for him.
Him and Jordan Bailey riding Germany.
Yeah, somehow they said Jordan Bailey was from Germany at Supercross. Speaking of Supercross, these Maxxis tires developed by who?
Developed by Jeremy McGrath. McGrath won the 1995 250 Outdoor Championship, 450 Outdoor. I don't know how he did it in Supercross, but I know he's an outdoor champion. So McGrath,
known as an outdoor guy.
Yeah. I feel like his outdoor stuff was pretty strong, and so we're talking about the Lucas Oil.
Well, perfect transition actually to our next rider, who was now going to be known as an outdoor guy, Jason Anderson. He's never won a race in either class, indoors or out 250 or 450. He's won indoor championships, Supercross, has not even won a race outdoors, which is shocking. But now Anderson has his chance this year to be outdoor guy, because last year's Monster Energy Supercross champ got hurt after round 3. We haven't seen him race since. I guess he's got plenty of lead-in time to get ready. I've got to imagine this is Anderson's best chance to finally get one of these overalls. He's been close before. But where do you package Anderson? It's so hard to figure how this is going to go. JT, last year we said that Anderson wasn't ready because he was too focused on Supercross. Now it's literally the exact opposite.
Well, I've heard that he started riding later than he wanted to. His arm injury was more significant than maybe it was let on. We knew it was a bad injury, but I heard it didn't heal as quickly as they wanted.
Yeah.
So that's my bigger question is how far did that put him behind where they initially wanted for this to be come Hangtown? I do think he'll get better throughout the summer and he'll find his race legs again. But that little tidbit of information was like, ooh, that doesn't sound ideal for outdoors, having taken that much time off. These guys are coming in after racing, and maybe you're a little behind on prep, so Hangtown could be a little rough maybe.
Yes, but see the bike he's getting on? While he was injured for a lot of outdoors last year, it has been tested, it has been tuned, it has been perfected because of the great fill-in rider they had last year for him.
Absolutely. Phil Nicoletti did a great job over there at the Rockstar Husky team. And actually, we're lucky we have Phil here to tell us about how the bike was. So, Phil, can you please tell us how the bike was? Great. Thanks, Phil. Appreciate it.
It's about as much as I expected to get from Phil. Just keeping the cards close to the vest. When you talk Anderson, and you talk about Anderson being the opposite, there is an opposite rider of Anderson. There's a guy that Anderson, I think, might just want to come back to the races to win would be cool, to win a title would be cool, but he'd probably like to just bang bars with Blake Baggett a little bit. I don't know why. I don't know what Baggett did, but Anderson goes after him all the time.
I don't think Baggett knows.
Yeah, Anderson came back at the very end of the year last year, just got a hit in on Baggett. JT, you know the Rocky Mountain ATVMC team that Baggett rides for very well. By far, this is Blake's best season in Supercross, and he's usually better outdoors. Last year outdoors, though, not as good as 17. So where are we at with Blake Baggett?
You know, last year they were on a brand new motorcycle.
Yeah.
And I know they went through some challenges on that, and he did get better.
Yeah.
But early, and that's been 2 years in a row at Hangtown where I've seen his frustration coming in with settings, and I just don't feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And let's keep in mind, Hangtown was a track where he used to dominate. He would beat Tomac and beat Roczen and beat these guys. So that frustration, you could really see it on his face. I'm interested to see where they come in a year removed from that. I think, hopefully, on their side, they have a better grasp on the bike and what to do going into it, so he doesn't leave there down 15 points already, which has been the case for the last 2 seasons.
Does the Supercross improvement for Baggett this year? He got his first win. There were other races that he didn't win that he was still just as good as anyone else in the battle, which he said he was more proud of that than just winning a race, that he was in the fight week in and week out. Does that mean anything for Lucas Oil Pro Motocross?
Well, you are our Baggett whisperer, by and large, generally speaking.
Yeah, you talk. I'm gonna put on my thinking cap here.
Yeah, okay, you do that. Yeah, I'm looking at Baggett's results from last year from the outdoors, and to me, there aren't as many podiums as I would have thought. JT, if I were to ask you how many podiums Blake Baggett got last year outdoors, how many would you tell me?
3.
4.
4.
Okay, good guess. I feel like for a past national champion like Blake Baggett, there should have been more than 4 podiums. He raced 24 motos. So like Supercross, he was up and down, and I predict probably more up and down. You are a Baggett whisperer. What do you see?
I put my thinking cap on, courtesy of the good folks at 6D. They're actually giving me 3D vision with this, so I can see both left and right and what's coming in the future. 3rd in points for Baggett this year.
Okay.
Lots of good, but not consistently enough good to get it done in points. Those are my thinking cap thoughts. Thank you, 6D. Okay, so ups and downs for Baggett potentially. When he's hot, he's going to be very hot. But what makes this season extra hard to predict is some of the new blood coming in. We didn't really have any rookies coming in last year, but we got a whole crop of them this year. And it's going to start with one of your faves, little Zachy Poo, Zach Osborne, 250 champ in 2017. Got hurt in his defense in 2018, but Zach, you sprayed him with pump going into Supercross. It got messed up with injury. He's coming in healthy now outdoors. Where are we with Zacho?
Zach and the team have found something with the bike.
Yeah.
They're a lot happier with that. I think he qualified fastest. He won a heat race. He got on the podium in Supercross. Didn't get the win, but I think he's just about checked every box off in his abbreviated 450 Supercross campaign. So on his Pro Taper bars, on his Rockstar Husky, because he has tiny hands, he has the tiny micro bar on the bar, just like the KJSC. So
that's what it is. They are the ones that are designed for kids.
Yep, tiny grips, tiny throttle tube, tiny hands for Osborne. But his race win hopes are big.
Ooh, he's going to take those tiny hands and grab some.
I think so. JT, I don't know if Osborne, where he suits in, Eli, Marv, Kenny, Coop, all that, but I think Osborne fits right into those guys this summer, and I think he probably wins a race.
I think he has a chance to be in the mix. You look at the previous 2 seasons, he was arguably the class of the 250 field. Yes, he went out with a shoulder injury last year, but
I think he wins last year, the championship, if he doesn't go down.
Yeah, that's arguable. I don't want to offend Plessinger. He rode incredibly well, but
I will.
Osborne was right there, right? And he had the number 1 plate.
J-Mark would like to have a word with you also.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah,
just saying.
Right.
Okay, yes.
But if you look at it on paper, him coming in, you look at the end of this Supercross run, absolutely he can be in the mix. You wonder, though, if top end, is he going to be able to go with Tomac? I don't know that. And I would say the same for Marv, and I would say the same for Webb. But I think he slots in very nicely with Marvin and Cooper. But I still truly believe that Tomac has the top end speed to run away from all of these guys when he's feeling it.
That's why I think Osborne could win a race.
Yep.
I think
you got to think Tomac's going to have off days. He's proven that to us. It's almost impossible to believe he's not going to have an off day anymore. It's just a part of his repertoire now. So Osborne has to be opportunistic, just like I think Marvin has learned he has to be as well. When it's the time to make up points, you have to do it. You have to get the win when it's there. And I think Baggett's been in that same role too. He knows when Eli's not feeling it that day, we have to capitalize with every single point we can.
You know, this is going to lead me to a much deeper bench racing discussion. Here in Vegas this weekend, we held a show where we had Ryan Villapoto and Chad Reed come on and discuss what it was like to race against, yes, we got to mention in the show, James Stewart. And both of them had to admit, which they would have never done when they were racing him, but now they no longer have to battle him. They had to admit there were days where you just had to say, there's nothing you could do. You got to hope that he brings it back to you by messing it up on his own end. You're right. When Tomac's on, we've seen him mow through these guys. but the starts are always inconsistent. Those days don't happen all the time. When he looks like he's on, there's weirdo crashes. Do you think sometimes these riders get to the point where if Tomac has a huge day where he goes 1-1 and there's nothing they can do about it, it doesn't dent their confidence as much because they're like, yeah, but next week, he could walk it right back to us. Does that eventually start becoming almost a strategy where you don't let it rattle you just because he's fast 1 week?
I think you definitely don't let it rattle you.
Yeah.
There is so much evidence now to show that Eli's going to give you opportunities. Absolutely. So, yes, you want to go into every single day saying, hey, I need to win today. But much like Stewart, as you said, there are going to be days where it's like, we're not beating him today. So we need to make sure we get every single point possible. We need to be second. And then we'll move on to a day that he's not so good.
Yeah, for as many Supercross wins as Eli Tomac has and as many national championship wins, I would say he's one of the least intimidating all-time greats we've had. I don't think the competition.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think the competition sits there and be like, "Oh man, he's the guy. He's got it." You know what I mean? I think the guys are like, "Yeah, if you're on, great, but otherwise, I can race with you."
I think in a series, that's true.
Yeah,
I believe that in a
Right.
series.
Individual race weekends, he's really scary.
Yep.
Yes, but you just don't know when you're going to get those.
Yep.
And it opens a door for a lot of people. Now, there's someone that really needs a break here. It's kind of amazing how this has turned for Justin Barcia, who a year ago was this great renaissance story. He had come off of the scrap heap. Yamaha and the Blue Crew and Monster Energy rescue him. He won a race at the end of the year. He was great in Supercross. He won Anaheim 1 this year.
Yeah.
Does anyone remember this? Was that this year or was that 7 years ago? Because it feels like an eternity since we've seen Barcia on the racetrack and mixing it up front. I think, believe it or not, we're back to the point where it's a pivotal time for Barcia, JT, to prove that he's back in this mix. It's crazy how quickly it turns.
Yeah, what do we think we should expect from Barcia? We haven't seen upper echelon outdoor rides from him consistently. And that's been a problem. When he's feeling it in the mud or at Unadilla, we've seen good rides from him, but a week in, a week out, especially at Hangtown, that's going to be a big question. I really believe he needs to start this series on the right foot and get up front, similar to what he did at A1, if he wants any chance of success this summer, because he seems to kind of work off of confidence. If he gets out there, and we've seen how aggressive he can be, he's not a guy you want to try to pass, but he has to almost believe in himself to get that confidence rolling, and then, we could see a good summer from him.
You're a Blue Crew guy, Steve.
I am.
What about your
Yeah.
Blue Crew guy?
Yeah, I think Justin's been hurt a little bit. He's been banged up. Even before he went out of the Supercross series, he was taking some hits.
Yes.
And so I don't know how much prep he's going to have before Hangtown. I think he starts slow, and I think he builds from there. He won Indiana last year. I think it was a lot of mud related. I mean, let's be honest. But you look at his points, he finished 1 point back at Ken Roczen in the overall points. They were battling for third overall at the last round. So to me, I think Barcia will be right in that mix. Do I like Osborne, Webb, and Musquin's chances better? Slightly. Slightly, but he could be right there.
You know, the one thing with Barcia that always led to his success in past outdoor championships was his starts. We could almost count on him either getting the whole shot or being in the top 5 on the start every time, no matter what. I don't know what's happened to that, but it hasn't been as consistent in recent years as maybe 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. So if I were him, I would be making that an extreme focus, let's say, because if he can put himself in a chance for success, we know how much better results come. Look at Cooper Webb Supercross. He was always at the front, and good things happen when you're at the front. So there's so much that's been going on with electronics, and Supercross has a grid start now, so there's a lot of moving parts into why starts are good or bad for people, but that's one glaring difference I've seen in his good seasons and bad seasons.
Yeah, I agree, and it's puzzling because this Yamaha has always been known as a high horsepower machine. That engine design, that's why they love it in the 250s. For the 450, maybe horsepower isn't as critical in the moto, but you would think you put Barcia on a Yamaha 450 and he's going to get 20 hull shots in 24 rounds. It just hasn't come around like that. And we'll stay on the topic of Yamaha. For as pumped as you are, you got your pro taper bars firmly in Zach Osborne's camp. We should be talking about Aaron Plessinger in the same breath as Osborne because he's last year's 250 champ. But we don't even know if he's going to show up for Hangtown. Brutal injury at Daytona, and we talked to Yamaha just yesterday at Supercross. They don't know yet.
Yeah, I think it'll be a few rounds before we see Aaron Plessinger, and I believe Dean Ferris will be filling in for those rounds. So it'll be a little bit before we see Aaron Plessinger, and when he comes back, he'll start slow. I mean, a heel injury is nothing to to fool around with. It'll affect him riding, but I think AP can be riding between 5 and 10 every round after that. I've seen no reason why not.
What's tough for Monster Yamaha, because Barcia suffers an injury. Plessinger suffers an injury. They bring in Josh Grant, who was just finding his stride at the last couple of rounds, putting in 2 top 10s in a row. Then he goes down to injury. So now they're bringing in Dean Ferris to fill in for that fill-in. So it's just like, guys, can we just keep somebody on the racetrack? So you start to feel for him, knowing they're going to go into another championship not at 100% again with really either guy.
It is amazing how quickly this sport could change. To think that Anaheim won the first Supercross of the year, Yamaha, they were the reclamation guys. They took Barcia from the scrap heap to winning the biggest Supercross race of the year. 2 weeks later, Cooper Webb wins on a KTM, and it's, once he got off that Yamaha, look how good he is. And Yamaha's now struggling just to keep dudes on the racetrack. Racing is a crazy thing. And you know what the other thing is? Yes, we're doing all this analysis, JT, just to really say starts actually, which are completely unpredictable, might control everything.
Yeah.
It's not as easy as it seems sitting at this desk in air-conditioned PulpMX studios, oddly. Seems like when the races happen, things break down.
It's weird that way,
yeah,
for sure.
Amazing.
Yep.
Okay, let's reset here and thank our sponsors making this show happen. Matthes with their MXST tire, developed by the king of Supercross, Jeremy McGrath. But it is a motocross tire, because even the king at this point is sticking to motocross tracks more than Soupy.
Outdoor legend, Jeremy McGrath.
It was good for 1 year, 1995. It was solid. And it really is a reminder, by the way, I don't know how many people go back to that 95 season. It wasn't necessarily everyone's first pick that year. It shows how hard this championship is to predict and how things change throughout the year. So thanks to Matthes, thanks to X-Brand Goggles, thanks to 6D Helmets, Fly Racing, and Pro Taper for backing these shows. Now,
Fly Racing will sponsor anything.
Yeah, they're in.
Yeah.
They're in this show, shockingly, and sponsoring the series, and a lot of the riders in the championship as well. So we mentioned some rookies with Plessinger, who we don't think will probably make the opener at Hangtown. Zach Osborne, who we think will be really good. He actually won 4 straight motos there in a 250. Another rookie that probably didn't get as much attention as he should going into Supercross, Joey Sivaji. That story has changed. Great Supercross season for the Monster Energy Kawasaki rider. Kind of a reminder that even though he didn't win the 250 titles like Plessinger and Osborne and Justin Hill did, week in and week out, he'd race with those guys all the time. He's at their level on an individual basis. It seems surprising in Supercross, but maybe it shouldn't have been.
Webb was the biggest surprise in the 450 Supercross Championship, but Joey Sivaji, I think, was the second biggest surprise, JT. He was very good. He was very fast. He probably should have done better. He had crashes / bike problems that kept him from getting a better results, but Joey was great. And really, when I look at his 250 career, I look at his Supercross skills and motocross skills as the same. He was very good in both. So why not 450 be very good in both?
I think he absolutely could be. If you look at this season, it was almost what could have been, too. He had a ride going where he crashes in Nashville, and maybe he gets on the podium there. He felt like he could have absolutely been there, and he's been fighting a shoulder injury for weeks and weeks and weeks now. He has another big crash at Las Vegas last weekend, had a contusion on his leg, I believe is what he reported. So we'll see how that plays into this. Is he going to get to test? Is he going to get to ride going into Hangtown? So he's kind of coming in beat up, injured. That's not the ideal place to be going into the Outdoor Championship, but we could have said that for the last 6 weeks where we're like, man, he looks beat up. I don't know if he's going to race. And then he comes out there and he gets a top 5. So I think he's a great addition to it. I think he's been probably the most surprising for me this season is to see him evolve into a world-class 450 racer.
I'm going to let the rubber meet the road here. Thanks to our folks at Matthes Tires. Look, it's a critical juncture for Sivaji to be sick and injured during the time where they're trying to cram in some outdoor testing. I don't think it's going to start out great for him, but I can tell you this, the rubber meets the road. Hang on, let me think about this. I believe by the end of the season, we're going to see Sivaji battling for podiums. The other guys are going to be tired, beat down. Somebody's going to get hurt throughout this. I think Sivaji actually coming in, just trying to survive these early rounds. When the rubber meets the road at the end of the year, you're going to be saying, dude, look at Sivaji. Could he win one of these motos? Wow. He'll get a whole shot. He'll be leading a lot. I think the mid-season grind is going to be tough on him. But by the end of the year, I think Sivaji's going to be doing big things.
That's a hot take, and he's got a tire around him.
Do you think for any of these rookie guys that we're talking about, Sivaji being one of those, because he hasn't been able to train much, he's shared that with us, it's a long season for these guys the first year. You're basically doubling your Supercross amount of races, and then you've got 12 more grueling outdoors to deal with. And we saw all the health issues he's had in the past summers just trying to get through it. So I'll be interested to see that. I don't know exactly who's going to suffer the most, but that's a whole new wrinkle that these guys have never dealt with.
Another rider that I'm interested in looking at is Rockstar Husky Dean Wilson. Obviously got hurt, missed the end of Supercross series. Hangtown is going to be touch and go, and maybe not 100% of Paula. Thunder Valley, starting to get your swim legs under you. Now we're on a week off, so maybe Dean's season, JT, doesn't start till round 4 at High Point.
Yeah, I think right now everyone associated with that team is just hoping that Dean is on the gate at Hangtown. I really think that would be a win. If that happens and he can get 2 motos, you're right, he'll race himself back into shape.
Unfortunately for him, though, it's catching up again.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
and I don't think going into the Outdoor Championship, he was like, man, this is my year to win the title. And that's not a slight at Dino, but I don't think that was where his head was at. I think he's hoping to contend for podiums, and if he gets there, then sky's the limit. But yeah, it's always tough to come into any championship behind the 8 ball because the first few rounds are so difficult mentally and physically, and then you can't really train too much because you're so beat up on what just happened on Saturday. So yeah, I don't hate your timeline too much. I think by round 3, 4, 5, you start to see the real Dean Wilson show up.
I'm just bummed he's not ready for Pala because, dude, he was always good when we had the National. It's back. Glenn Helen's off the schedule. Pala's on. And unfortunately, Dean's probably not going to be at full strength for that race, which is too bad. It's a good track for him.
Grandpa Earl also goes very good there.
Pala?
Yeah.
Battling with Colt Nichols.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yep.
Cole Seeley.
Can I take the tire off?
Yeah, you can.
Okay,
please
thank you.
do.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Cole Seeley, Factory Honda Zone. I spoke to him last night in Vegas. I said, what do you think about the outdoors? Cole was very honest and open. He's like, look, I haven't been in the shape I need to be in this Supercross season. It's going to be, I believe he said, Struggle Fest or Suffer Fest this summer.
Okay.
For him. Yeah.
Coming in hot.
Yeah, I mean, he just said he's not where he wants to be, but at the same time, he's going down to the sandbox.
Okay.
And working hard with those guys, and we'll see what he can do. But certainly, I think Cole Seeley fits more into the 7 to 10 range in the 450 Supercross class, with maybe some better performances as we grind on and he starts getting a little better.
Yeah, I keep coming back to this word of opportunistic, and I think Cole Seeley is that guy too. We've seen him battle for podiums, right? But it's not a week in and week out occurrence. He's got to pick his spots. And when the chance is there and it's that day, you have to take advantage of it. Because I just don't think he's at the level of Marvin, Cooper, Tomac, Osborne, where it's week in and week out. Yep, I've got to show up and get a podium. Baggett should be in there as well. He's got to be ready at that time. And he's coming off a huge injury last year, right? That had to have taken a toll in this Supercross season. Physically, I think you made mention of it. Physically, is he going to be able to train and be in the shape it's going to take to battle with this, laundry list of guys that are ready to show up this summer?
I'm going to take a lot of the things that you said about Seeley, and I'm going to take all that and I'm going to amplify it. I'm going to plug it into the wall.
Okay.
I'm going to put steroids and EPO in there and take all those points and then amplify it for Justin Hill. Take a lot of those things. Hill is clearly better at Supercross than he is at outdoors. Seeley's good at Supercross and pretty good outdoors. The gap I feel between Hill indoors and out gets even larger. He is a rookie. In our Supercross shows, we put him right there with Plessinger, Sivaji, Osborne. What in the heck are we going to get out of Hill outdoors? Are we even going to get Hill outdoors? Are we going to get 24 motos in? He told me he's motivated because Supercross went bad. I don't know. I don't know if that means anything.
Yeah. Next.
Okay.
It's impossible to tell.
Yeah.
I don't think he even knows. I think the one thing I've seen from watching him all season this year is that he is not in the physical condition that it takes to win at this level yet. And he may disagree with me, and that's okay. We can both have our opinion. But when I look at guys at the end of the races and the guys that are in shape, and we know that they're in shape, Baker's Factory, Tomac, the elites of the sport, I don't see that physical condition out of Justin Hill yet, and I think we're going to see that all summer. When it gets hot, when it gets rough, unless he's just feeling it at a track like Washougal or the conditions are perfect for him, a cool afternoon, I think he's going to suffer. I really believe it's going to be tough on him this summer.
He was on his way to a top 5 at Washougal in the first moto.
Flirting with some podiums and some motos, 5th, 4th.
That's all I got to say.
Okay.
And that's it.
Nah is all you got to say?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that better or worse than an which you once famously gave Jeremy Martin before he became a
I think the jury's still out on Martin.
Jeremy Martin.
Yeah, I do.
Is he going to have a solid career?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll tell you who is feeling it, feeling the vibe, feeling the flow. Justin Bogle. The end of Supercross, there's just one 4th place finish. The rest don't jump off the page, but he is riding really well, and Bogle has proven he can do it outdoors as well. He won an overall in the 450 class at the end of 2017. We don't know if Bogle's even in for the whole season, but he's going to be in at the beginning, and he could be surprisingly good.
Yeah, he really could. It's a really cool story. It's building up. He's got to ride for 3 or 4 races until Benny Bloss comes back, and we'll touch on Benny. I hope there's room to find him a bike and a mechanic. I don't think there is. The Rocky Mountain team is a privately owned team, so it's not as a simple matter of who's going to pay the mechanic,
Call
who's going to pay the
Austria and get more
travel.
money. Yeah, yeah.
So I wonder about that a little bit. But man, what a cool thing building up. And Bogle, we're not supposed to have favorites in the media and everything else, but I enjoy talking to Justin Bogle. I enjoy getting interviews with him. I think he's honest. I think he's funny. He's open. He realizes this whole thing is, it's not just everything. It's not curing cancer.
Yeah.
So I like a lot of things that Bogle stands for. I hope he can keep riding.
Yeah, he's really riding well. I think he's got an opportunity in these first couple of rounds to prove that they need to find a way to keep him on the team, right? He's had such a good end to this Supercross season. It would be a travesty if we get 3 or 4 rounds in and they're like, well, Justin Bogle's out for the series. You hope that he can get good starts, get good results, and then they're like, guys, we got to come together and find a way to keep this guy on the team here.
Well, what results does he need for it to be a travesty?
I think being...
A travesty is a very heavy word.
Travesty, yes.
Yeah.
Well,
Leading the points?
I think coming from the dumpster fire that was last summer for him, he's made it full circle back to where he's relevant, he's running up front, he's winning heat races. That's a great turnaround. And I would hate to see him then lose a spot again and have to be searching out there. You wonder, though, if that does come to fruition, there's a lot of teams out there that are probably going to be looking for a guy. Yamaha comes to mind. They don't know what they're doing. Is Barcia going to be ready? How does Ferris do? That's kind of a rotating deal there. But I just want to see Justin Bogle out on the track now that he's back to the Justin Bogle that we know and love.
But if he does have to switch teams mid-season, the only guy I can think of that really had to do that last year, started out with JGR Suzuki, had to fill in for Jason Anderson, was Phil Nicoletti. So let's go to Phil, actually. Phil, what was it like, actually, to have to switch at mid-season to a different factory bike? All right, not a lot being revealed there. It'll be interesting.
Man, a few words.
Yeah, it's very secretive.
He just lets the riding
He does.
do the talking.
Yeah, he does.
Yes, because Bogle might get pushed out because Benny Bloss will be back. They're thinking maybe round 4 from a torn ACL.
Yep, it sounds like Benny's going to be around 4, and it'll be interesting. Benny was really coming on late in the season last year outdoors. He had a top 10 finishes a lot.
Yeah.
We haven't seen him for a long time, but I think, to me, Benny's a better outdoor rider than Supercross rider from looking at his results. Now, it'll be interesting to see how he can do, but don't forget about Benny Bloss is what I'm saying, people. Don't forget about him.
Yeah, and it's never easy coming back from a 5-6 month injury. So what do we expect when he comes back? I don't think you can say, yeah, you're going to miss all of Supercross, you're going to miss the first 4 outdoor rounds too, and you're going to jump into the midst of a series where all these guys are clicking, they have their settings, they're dialed, and now we expect great results. I think it's going to be a work in progress. I think it's going to be very similar to last year. I think the first few rounds will be a little tough. He'll get better. Guys get injured. Hopefully he's not one of them, and then the results come down the stretch. But for me, I'm just hoping that it's all 3 of Blake Baggett, Justin Bogle, and Benny Bloss that's happening for. I hope
In
they're
Fly
all
Racing?
Yeah, it's
okay.
Fly Racing and Rocky Mountain KTM. I hope that they're all in the same team and that they find a way to work together because Benny and Justin Bogle are great friends too. So that would be a great team dynamic, and all 3 of them could be in the top 10 all summer.
I just wish that Justin Bogle's first name was like Bob, so we would have Blake Baggett, Benny Bloss, Bob Bogle.
The problem is it's almost a requirement that you have to have like 9 Justins on every gate
Good point.
in the sport.
Yeah.
There is a Justin, for folks that aren't sure exactly how this works, like Justin Brayton, for example, is a contender in Supercross. He is not racing Lucas Oil Pro Motocross, so that's why we're not mentioning.
Had to get Brayton's name
Well,
in?
I had to get it in there,
Okay.
but I'm confused because Brayton isn't racing outdoors because I thought he was on a Supercross-only team with Bullfrog Spa's Moto Concepts Smart Top.
Yep.
But they are racing the opener?
We
Yeah.
are racing the first 2 rounds. I'm the team manager for the team. Rider Chris Kiefer. He's a young 40.
You're managing the team.
Yeah,
41.
young 41 years old.
Like that age.
Yep. So absolutely, I think that'll be interesting to see how he can do. For my X-Brand goggles,
Oh, you have a vision?
I have a vision.
A clear vision of the future?
Yes, I do.
Is it clear?
It's always clear with X-Brand. With my managing skills, with Nick and Aaron underneath me, and Cooler making everything cool.
Cool. Yeah.
Chris Kiefer will finish inside the top 25 in 2 of the 4 motos to open the year.
Flirting with points.
All right.
2 out of the 4 motos. I don't know which 2, and I don't know which track. But again, you look at everything behind Kiefer, unbelievable.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's definitely unbelievable. Okay, since you have a clear vision of the future, let's start making some predictions. We're going to make our fly racing predictions We're not going to predict top 3 in order because nobody cares about points.
Nobody
Once
cares.
you win the title, no one cares who finishes 2nd and 3rd. It's about winning the title. So our top 3 things are going to be who wins a title, and then 2 other things in general that we think will happen. So fly racing, bringing these predictions. So why not go to fly racing zone? Jason Thomas, pick us a title guy, and then try to pick us 2 other things that will happen, stamping it.
I really believe it's going to be a three-peat for Eli Tomac.
Okay.
I'm shocked that he has not found a way to win a Supercross championship yet, but given the length and the amount of races that we have to deal with, and I think his distinct speed advantage when he needs to turn it on. There were times last year where he was going 4 seconds a lap faster than the next guy.
Yes.
That's not normal for most people. So I think that is when he needs that and when he's able to pull that out, it's unstoppable, and it gives him that extra edge he's going to need to win this championship. For predictions, I think Cooper Webb is going to give Tomac fits all the way down the stretch. I think Tomac will find a way because I think he'll win enough races to get it done. But I think Cooper Webb has turned a corner and is going to be the real deal. Another prediction, I think it's going to be a tough summer for Blue Crew. I don't like where Justin Barcia is at coming in. I don't like where Aaron Plessinger's at. He's not even going to race the first few, I don't believe. I think he'll miss Hangtown.
Yeah.
And then you've got Dean Ferris, who's a big question mark. He was great when he came to Mount Morris a couple years ago and rode really well. But nothing about their program right now looks solid or steady or set up for success. So I think the Blue Crew will have a tough summer.
Keeping the goggles on, Steve.
Eli Tomac wins the title, which will make it also 6 consecutive titles that I've picked Eli Tomac for. He wins the outdoor title this summer.
And 50% of them actually happening.
50% has happened.
Yeah.
Ken Roczen does not finish the summer.
Whoa.
Whatever is going on with him takes him out of the series.
You've been consistent with that.
I just don't see it. And Zach Osborne beats Jason Anderson in the series points.
Okay.
Pretty bold. I wish you could look people in the eye when you make these bold predictions, but maybe these don't count. I am going to go a little bit different than you guys. I'm saying that Cooper Webb can do it. He can win 2 titles in 1 year. The starts are so key. Now, JT, you were talking about this quite a bit off camera, that you're not sure if the KTM awesome starts necessarily replicated from the metal start grid in Supercross to the dirt start outdoors. That's a huge key. But if Cooper Webb can have those consistent starts, I think it's going to put a lot of pressure on Tomac week in and week out, and I think that might be just enough to neutralize the speed. So I'm going 2 titles in 1 year for Cooper Webb. That's prediction number 1.
I can't argue. I can't say you're crazy for that.
I will say, if Cooper Webb comes out and he can find a way to win a moto or the overall at Hangtown, it's on.
Yep.
Everything I've said about Tomac changes if he can make that happen, because Tomac's been damn near unbeatable at Hangtown.
Oddly enough, I actually think Cooper's going to struggle a bit at Hangtown. So I've got a totally different route to the championship for him. In his title campaign in the 250 class a couple years ago, he started out injured. He wasn't great at the beginning of the year. He snuck in a moto win at round 2, but it really was the second half of the year we got it going.
Someone called that a high point.
That it was coming on strong?
That it was over.
No, it was at Redbud. It was halfway through.
No, it wasn't.
When he took the points lead.
It was earlier than that, though.
He took the points lead, and then all of a sudden you were on the Webb wagon.
Not true.
My other predictions, there's going to be a significant change, either I believe at Yamaha or JGR. There's going to be a guy that ends up on that motorcycle who's not expected to be on the motorcycle.
Would
I'm really
Coy?
worried. What's that?
Could it be Coy?
At this point, yes.
Okay.
I mean, JGR have to throw everything at it. I think there's going to be someone, definitely with JGR, at some point on their motorcycle that we didn't even expect to be there, and maybe even doing well, making it virtually impossible to predict right now. Someone that's not even on the team now will end up being on the team just because of the tremendous attrition, and they've got to get bikes out on the racetrack.
Stu?
Let's throw it out there.
Well, they've got a roster that, as of right now, is probably not going racing, of guys that will be waiting in the wings for that to happen at JGR. So that could be very likely.
You're going to see Jimmy Dakotas or Kyle Peters or somebody like that just flailing on the wind on the back of a 450.
Well, I could see Enzo Lopes jump on a 450 in that scenario
Maybe.
too. So that's not a bad prediction.
Yep, and I can see them putting in some good results, opening eyes, taking advantage of the opportunity. What if Bogle came all the way back around?
Wow.
Can you imagine if he came all the way back around? And my other prediction, I'm with you, Steve. Zach Osborne. It's going to be very, very good. Now, I know saying very, very good is super vague, and then he could get like top 10, and I could say, see, I'm proven
Top 15.
right.
Top 15.
Yeah, I could say I was proven right. Multiple moto wins for Zach this summer. Pretty bold, Cotton.
I like it.
Well, he asked us where we had him. We all agreed top 15.
What did I have?
We played.
What did I say? I had him a series of top ones.
Oh,
Top
yeah,
one.
yeah.
Yes.
He had him winning, but Steve and I agreed top 15
Yeah.
was a safe pick.
Yep.
Top 15.
Yep.
A couple of top ones, I think he's going for. That's going to wrap up our 450 show. We will have a 250 show next, so ignore the person in the comment section under this video saying, dude, they didn't even mention Adamson Cerullo. What the heck? And you can also argue about all the 450 riders that we didn't mention. Just read it in the comments and you'll get all the info you need about how somebody's next door neighbor who's a 450 privateer is going to be awesome, and the media just doesn't give him the credit, and that's why he doesn't have a factory ride and a #1 plate. Also, thanks to our sponsors. Matthes is our title sponsor of the show. X-Brand goggles. Fly Racing.
That's my favorite one. That's my favorite one.
Fly Racing
yes,
is?
that's my
Yeah,
favorite one.
shocking. 60 helmets and pro taper bars for backing these shows. Again, our 250 show is coming up next. Go to promotocross.com for everything you need to know about the Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championship. We'll see you at the races.